that the black Americans have been the only real diehard Americans here, because we're the only ones who carried the process through the process. That everyone else has to sort of like skip stages. We're the ones who marched, we're the ones who carried the Bible, we're the ones who carried the flag, we're the ones who tried to go through the courts. And being born American didn't seem to matter. Because we were born Americans, but we still had to fight for what we were looking for. And we still had to go through those channels and those
I don't really care what you have to say. Facts over fiction is the motto replay. Muhammad Ali came up from the clay. Grassroots built up this USA. Now knowing your history will get played. Equip yourself cause you came to slay any opponent that's up in our way. Look at Malcolm X and his delivery.
What up, family? Let me get this title card off of here. Before we actually start, I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that we are good. Got my man Chad in the building. How you doing, brother?
Salute. I'm good, brother. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday and happy Black History Month.
Happy Black History Month.
All right, I'm just trying to make sure if we're good to go here, man. You guys might hear some feedback, some commercials or something like that. I apologize. All right, we are good to go. All right, I can hear you, you can hear me, and I hope we can hear everybody else. Welcome, this is Me and the Mass Media Group. My name is Moya. I'm here with my man, Chad Brown. So, Chad, I mean, I know a lot of people do know you, so, I mean, you reparations man of the century.
Nah, don't do that. Don't do that.
But anyway, brother, can you just give us, 1 or 2 sentences about yourself, man? We know you're a family man. We know that's for sure.
Yeah, Chad Brown. That's my real name, right? Out of LA. I'm originally from Jackson, Mississippi. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a reparationist. I've been in this movement since about 2018, 2019. I'm working on the ground in Los Angeles with Lineage Equity and Advancement Project, who I'm the national spokesperson for, and then the Coalition for a Just and Equitable California, which is our statewide coalition that I know many folks might be familiar with, given some of the historic work that coalition has been able to accomplish over the past 6 years.
Man, you know what? I'm gonna give a straight shout out to Lee, because this is what we do.
Brother, shout out to you. I was giving you these flowers before we started, but for the people that don't understand and don't know about ETM Media, this is one of the most important and influential grassroots media outlets that is today, like hands down. ETM Media was covering the California Reparations Task Force when no other media was covering the task force. They were on the ground. They were making record of that history so that we all can go back and revisit that important work. So I want to thank you, brother. I want to thank the entire ETM Media team, everybody that puts in work, many hands making light work for the ETM Media crew, and I appreciate y'all. Much love.
Thanks, brother. Thank you. So, I mean, today's topic, since we're speaking about, I'm a father myself, now I have, older adult kids, but today we're going to, you get it.
Yeah.
So today, man, we're going to be talking about a Black men misogyny, and if there's an agenda or not to really put Black men in a stereotypical or trope type of situation. So we're going to go, according to, what others have said about men. We're just not going to be making stuff up as we go along. So, but before we do that, I want to do some housekeeping real quick. So if everybody has a chance, please go to etmmediagroupstore.com. That's etmmediagroupstore.com. We also have CJEC, Coalition for a Just and Equitable California merch up there as well. We only got 1 t-shirt for right now. I mean, we gotta, work on that a little bit, but
it's a dope one though. It's dope.
It is dope. It is dope. Go ahead, you can get that and support ETM Media Group and CJEC. They're the #1 advocacy for lineage-based reparations here in California. So go ahead, and it should be somewhere down in the description. You can click that link, and also go to if you go to Amazon, which I've heard some stuff about this whole DEI thing, so I know some people actually aren't supporting Amazon, but if you do want to support Amazon, it's a Black-owned business, you go ahead and support there too. if you do happen to shop or anything, just hit that link that's in the description as well. Now, we're going to actually be giving everybody a brief update what's going on here in California. So Chad's also part, another founding member, along with myself, with CJEC. And we're just going to give you guys a brief update on what's happening right now here in California. But for those that don't know, 41 assembly members, 21 senators, and 1 governor to sign California reparations. And we plan on making that happen 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029, 2030, until it gets done.
Yeah, that's right.
So there you go. All right, man. I guess let's get into it, bro. Let's get into it. I want to get your feedback. You know what? Here we go. I was trying to get into it, but there's actually something that I got to do first.
Okay.
If people aren't familiar with the American Community Survey, they're actually having their deadline February 18th, 2025. And so basically what that means is it gives the community or the public an opportunity to submit what they think their racial or ethnic group could be. And there's certain codes and so forth. So if you just go and type in American Community Survey, and this is for the U.S. Census Bureau. Now, I know there was some misunderstanding. Some people call it the OMB, and some people call it the U.S. Census Bureau. There are actually 2 different departments within the executive branch. So the OMB actually had their portion where people could submit proposals. Now we're on to the U.S. Census. Hopefully me and Kim are going to go a little deeper on that, but we didn't want to go too deep today. But if you do want more information, check out the U.S. Census. It tells you what they do, who's head of it, and et cetera, et cetera. But I just wanted everybody kind of just show this title card here. So if anybody has any questions on exactly what they do, this is just gives you just a really, really brief sentence of kind of what they do. So their mission is to serve as the nation's leading provider of quality data about its people and economy. So I'm not going to go too deep into that. But once again, if you're not familiar and you guys do want to participate, you basically got 2 days. But there are some requirements that they do want you to have before you submit. So please look over those requirements. I'm sure you could still send it in, but I don't know if they would actually, take those particular updates that you sent to them or proposals. All right, so that's them at a glance. But if Kim and I do have time, we'll hopefully tomorrow we might put something up for you guys. So anyway, just want to give everybody that. But let's get into the topic. Black men misogyny agenda. Is there a black man misogyny agenda with Chad Brown and Samuel Brown? Actually, I don't know if Sam's gonna make it today, but if he does,
too bad.
You know what I'm saying? We'll still represent. And we never know, he might come through actually. So shout out to Sam. And for people that don't know who Sam Brown is, I'm just going to put this title card up. At the time when the legislation to end slavery came into California, it was known as the ACA 3. Then it went to various different names, and then it eventually became a Proposition 16. It did not pass here in California, so hopefully it will be picked up again in this legislation season at 2025. So we will see. All right, family. So, Brother Chad, let's get into it, man. I'm going to go ahead and read the definition of misogyny. Misogyny is, according to dictionary.com, hatred of, aversion to, or prejudice against women. A culture that promotes violence and misogyny, battled the personal demons of alcoholism, racism, and misogyny. Her books are, these are just some quotes, I guess. James Kaplan. Her books are pervaded, there you go. Pervaded by a deep pessimism and an equally profound misogyny. Janet Malcolm, a mission to expose a common cord that nourishes capitalism, misogyny, classism, and fact, hatred. Anastasia Higginbotham. All right. Something such as speech or behavior that reflects and fosters misogyny, etc., etc., etc. So I think we have an understanding of what misogyny is. is basically, and I could be wrong. To me, it just sounds like a hatred towards women. Does that sound about right to you?
Sounds about right. Sounds like a textbook definition. Yeah.
All right. So there was a sister by the name of Mariah Elizabeth Weber. Shout out to her. She wrote a paper titled "We Don't Love Those Hoes," exploring misogyny and black male patriarchy through sexual double standards. Now, I just kind of wanted to highlight some things. I
Yeah.
didn't want to go read the whole paper, obviously, but let's focus on a couple of these things, and then we'll, make some comments on this. So it says Black feminist thought is an ideology that specifically caters to the plight of Black women with a primary focus on collective liberation and justice. Shout out to our Black sisters out there that are holding it down. The Combahee River Collective, CRC, an organization founded by Black feminists of varying sexual orientations in 1974, described Black feminism as necessary because they believed that patriarchy and sexism were just as prevalent in Black women's lives as racism was. This is critical because mainstream feminists thought primarily serves the voices of white women, while Black social and political thought primarily serves the interests of Black men. Okay, I'm gonna repeat that again, just so I understand. This is critical because mainstream feminists thought primarily serves the voices of white women. Okay, got that.
Mhm.
While Black social and political thought primarily serves the interests of Black men.
Yeah.
All right.
I agree
don't
with half
know.
of that sentence. I agree
Half
with
of
half
that?
of it. Yeah.
Okay. Half of that. All right.
Yeah. I mean, I absolutely agree that, mainstream feminism is serving the interests of white women, right? But I think there's a misnomer, and I don't feel that there is a true, in the sense of that definition that you read, Black misogyny, right? And because that would imply that there's also a Black patriarchy.
Mhm.
And I don't believe that Black men have not only the power or the history that you can point to say that there is a collective patriarchy that we are imposing against our women. We are uplifting our women. That's what Black men do. Black men, all the Black men I know are married to Black women. They love, care, uphold, and uplift those women and their heads of households, their heads of families, right? So I think that, this is nothing new for this country. That's something else that folks need to recognize, is that, labeling Black men as, brutish, abusive, as lustful, as unintelligent, that is this country's MO. That's what America does to remove the power of the Black man, because they understand that the power of the Black man is the power of the Black community. The Black man is the protector and the provider of the Black community, and the Black woman is the nurturer of the Black community. We need both. Both are equally important roles, and we need both to have strong communities. But if you take either one of those components out, we're weakened, which means we're more vulnerable, which means we're easier to exploit, and ultimately, easier to genocide. And so that is ultimately the goal of white supremacy, as we all know. So I don't think anything's changed in this country. I think Black men are still being vilified, are still being villainized as being patriarchs, when that is not something that's part of our culture, that's part of Black men's makeup or DNA. So that's my 2 cents.
Absolutely. Boom. Couldn't say it any better, brother. All right. So we'll continue within both schools of thought. Okay. So she goes on to say, with both schools of thought, the experiences and realities of Black women are negated and erased. All right. So I don't, she's now, see, this is why words are, and shout out to Dr. Neely Fuller. I call him a doctor. Some people didn't call him a doctor.
Shout out Neely Fuller. Rest in power, brother.
Rest in power. He was so sharp in terms of how you can decipher and how to go about wordology, as I call it. I like making up words. Who cares? Who cares? So there's a lot of word salad, wordology. So I kind of want to unpack this just a little bit more. I know we were going to move through this quickly, but I think it's really important that we have these particular conversations and that we were honest and intentional, right, about what we're trying to do as Black people, especially here in America.
Yeah.
Right. So I just kind of want to go back. Okay, so the sister does a good job in terms of differentiating between quote unquote mainstream feminism or white feminism. And then she goes on and then she talks about Black social and political thought, primarily Black men, which would be Black kind of thought, etc. So she's separating two. But then she says, with both schools of thought, the experiences and realities of Black women are negated and erased.
Yeah.
So now she's putting both the white and the Black together, when in reality, you know, the cultures, let's just be real, we're all human. Yeah. Right, you got that. But in terms of America, there is some differences and nuances between freedmen and people who identify as white people here. And not only that, but we can go through the data too, especially the wealth gap.
Yeah, our lived experiences are different, right? And again, I see kind of like the weaponization of this narrative against our communities. That's what I read when I read stuff like this. Anything that seeks to divide Black men and Black women, particularly when we're talking about kind of our socio-political thought, right? Our socio-political thought has always been collective. We have never had a socio-political movement in this country that was divided along gender lines when it was good for Black people. You had giants Black women standing in front in many instances with a raised fist, right alongside brothers. So I don't entertain those types of things, and that's just that's where I'm coming from. Just at my age and experience level at this point, I don't entertain kind of the school of thought that says there is some interest that Black women have that Black men don't have, and vice versa.
Okay. But all right, so I'm just gonna highlight this one, and then we're gonna move on to the next article. All right, it says, let's see, and probably before Sojourner Truth and her infamous "Ain't I a Woman" speech in 1851, have been addressing the erasure of Black women's experiences at the hands of Black men, and white women. So
that's it. That's the same thing again, right? When have Black men ever been a principal in erasure of the history of Black women? I mean, if you break it down and you try to like make sense of it, you see how illogical it sounds and how illogical it is, right? Like we are exactly the opposite, right? Like right now, I'm trying to transcribe my mother and my our family history, right? So being keepers of like uplifting what they have done in their lives and what they accomplished and the families that they nurtured and raised, right? So I mean, it's ludicrous, and it's written by people who don't really know us. If you ask me, it's written by people who didn't grow up in our communities, didn't grow up in our homes, don't understand how strong the bond is. Not saying that we don't have our interpersonal disagreements and confrontations. Of course, we men and women still at the end of the day, but it doesn't rise to the level of some collective patriarchy where we are oppressing or in mass abusing our Black women. That's not what's happening. At least not in our community, like not around the community I live in and the community I know.
Absolutely, man. All right, so we're going to talk about Representative Jasmine Crockett, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. There's an article titled "Democratic Lawyer Suggests Slave Mentality," quote unquote, behind Hispanic Trump voters. She said, "That is my distilled summary of what happens within the Latino community. I've not run into that with the Asian community. I've not run into that with the African community. I've not run into that with the Caribbean community. I've only run into that with Hispanics. When they think of illegals, they think of, maybe people that come out of the cartels and the thing, et cetera, et cetera." And then she goes on to say, "It almost reminds me of what people would talk about when they would talk about kind of like slave mentality and the hate that some slaves would have for themselves." She continued, "It's almost like a slave mentality that they have. It is wild to me when I hear how anti-immigrant they are as immigrants, many of them. I'm talking about people that literally just got here and can barely vote that are having this kind of attitude." All right, she goes on. Crockett added that despite Black voters still largely voting in favor of Vice President Kamala Harris during election, there was some flaking by black men that she attributed to misogyny. All right. She goes on to say, I will tell you that black people historically have been fiercely loyal. That's why you still see the turnout numbers that they use coming out for black folks, even though there was a bit of flaking. And that bit of flaking came from black men, which I'm going to chalk up to misogyny, Crockett said. Mr. Brown.
Yeah, I mean, it's more the same for me. I mean, again, the agenda is to disempower black men, because then when you disempower us and make our women not respect us internally, it weakens our community as a whole, right? So when you say we're flaking, quote unquote flaking, what you're implying is that we can't be critical thinking voters and a populace that really looks for some type of policy that we want to place our votes for, right? That's what you're really saying, is that we don't have the ability to, or the intelligence to think in a politically mature way. That's what you're saying when you're trying to explain away black men saying, hey, Kamala Harris, we need a tangible agenda from you that is going to positively impact our communities, that we can recognize economically within our communities. Jasmine Crockett wants to say that's flaking. I don't agree with that. I agree. I say that is political maturity. And for someone who lives in California, I would say to a Jasmine Crockett that you need to have, if you're going to run a candidate like a Kamala Harris, and you're talking to the black population, she needs to then account for some of the things that the black population knows about her. Like, I know the name Sheree Peoples. Like, I know what she did with truancy laws in California, in my area, right? I know the name Mitrice Richardson. You have to account for those things before you then say that, oh, it's black men against black women. No, tell me how Kamala Harris has helped black women, really, tangibly. I can show you instances of how she has harmed and abused black women. Does that matter, right? And so I think our representatives are struggling with the fact that black men we are asserting our political autonomy again. We're saying that we're not a captured vote. We're not you can't just come down and do the same sorts of tricks that you were able to do for the past 60 plus years, post the civil rights era. So now, because we are expressing ourselves, the public narrative, how they're gaslighting this, is saying that we're flaky or we're misinformed or we're, we misunderstand, et cetera, right? All those things really trying to avoid the fact that we're calling for a tangible agenda, not only at the federal level, but at our local levels all around this country at this point. All pointing, trying to keep you from focusing on the fact that black men are asserting ourselves as the protectors and providers of our community. And when you see black men standing up against somebody like Kamala Harris, it's because we're protecting our communities.
Absolutely. So, I mean, when we're talking about being politically astute and being politically educated, especially black men, I just want to actually note your wonderful shirt that you have on.
Thank you, brother. Hiram, yeah.
But we got Hiram Rhodes Revels, who was a Republican,
radical Republican,
back in the 1900s.
Senator out of Mississippi, man. So yeah, I'm from Jackson, so historical figure that I was I was taught about Hiram Rhodes Revels and what he did, as a radical Republican, in that time, right? We're talking right after emancipation, and so I love I like bringing this Black History Month, right? So I like always making us think about that the giants, the ancestors whose shoulders we stand upon. And again, he was a Republican, right? In a time when we had the most representation in the United States Congress, right there in Reconstruction and immediately thereafter, before it was undermined and ultimately overthrown.
Absolutely, brother. All right, so we're going to go on to, we're moving kind of quick here, but we're going to talk about Obama. I did have a video clip somewhere, but I just didn't have time, so I didn't upload it, and we're not going to play it. But there are a couple of articles, so I just wanted to talk about this commentary. by these two people, Rashawn Ray and Keon L. Gilbert. Why are black men mad at Obama? I know there could be a lot of reasons
A
why
lot of
black
reasons.
men
Yeah.
may be, but we'll see what this article has to say. Many black men feel frustrated by Obama's comments on their support for Kamala Harris, seeing it as an oversimplification of their complex political concerns. A perceived disconnection between Obama, Harris, and the everyday experiences of black men has contributed to feelings of alienation within the Democratic Party. Black men's grievances include being overlooked by the Democratic Party on key issues beyond criminal justice, such as economic opportunity and broader political representation. Now, this article was written October 18th in 2024. So this was a little bit before the primaries, elections. So former President Barack Obama, this is, I get, basically kind of summarizing what he said about black men. Former President Barack Obama recently caused an uproar when he called out black men for what news reports and some polling indicate as less support for Vice President Kamala Harris as a Democratic presidential nominee. This outcry in the public square has reminded many black men of their voice and has led them to speak out about their support, concerns, and disinterest in the Harris-Walz campaign and the political field more broadly. Black Americans have offered a consistent refrain and critique of American democracy. With that refrain, Black Americans hold a range of political attitudes concerning the economy, family values, policing, and criminal justice reform, and healthcare. Many people fail to embrace the political variations within Black families and communities, which frequently get muddled with an oversimplistic two-party system. Obama, while speaking to staffers at a Harris campaign office in Pennsylvania, suggested that misogyny and sexism are the
There it is again, right?
Hey, I'm not making this stuff up.
Yeah.
People are saying it. And sexism are the culprits of the lack of black men's support for Harris. Quote, part of it makes me think, this is what Obama said, part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president, and you are coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that, said Obama. Obama also spoke about former President Trump's history with black men, potentially alluding to past actions, such as an ad demanding that, quote, exonerated, end quote, Central Park 5 be given the death penalty, as well as Trump's federal lawsuit for failing to rent to black families. Okay, so let's kind of, I want to kind of get your 2 cents, brother, on the part where he says, part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president. All right, so, I mean, was it really a woman thing, or was it just Kamala herself? Kamala.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like you showed the numbers. I mean, what's funny about this is, like you said, black men and black women still came out and overwhelmingly voted for Kamala Harris, right? It still was. She saw support from the black community in what, like the 70, 80 percentiles, right? So I think it's funny, number one, but secondly, it's the same trope again, trying to paint the black man as being a misogynist, right? And it's strictly intended to undermine the bond between black man and black woman, to drive a divide in our communities, because we're stronger united. When black men and black women, we advocate our interests together, we're the strongest force this country has ever seen. And so at all points, you have to try to keep us from recognizing that about ourselves, right? And Obama has been one of the biggest tools in that effort by this power structure to drive those wedges, to not only, in perception, take black women and divide them from black men, but also in reality, when you look at, how many black men were incarcerated under Obama, when you look at how black communities were devastated from a wealth perspective, our housing ownership rates plummeted, our small business rates plummeted. By any measure of economic success, we are worse off after Obama than before Obama. So instead of always pointing at the black man and saying, you're a misogynist, the former president needs to look in the mirror and ask himself, what did he truly do to the black community, and have a real conversation with himself about that, if you ask me, because I'm tired of, like, and this coming from a person who's been accused of being a misogynist. When I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a son, right? I'm surrounded by women who I can constantly attempt to uplift and teach and protect and provide for, right? And so to be called a misogynist by somebody who's very popular, right? Somebody who's watching right now might know thousands of followers on YouTube and Twitter, said I diminish women very publicly to their tens of thousands of followers. And I think that those are very old tactics that we've seen again and again, that's just attacking Black men, attacking Black malehood, and ultimately attacking the Black community.
Absolutely. So you mentioned some of those numbers, so we're just gonna go over some of those. Perfect segue, brother. Man, you're just a natural at this, making me look good. All right. Most Black voters favor Kamala Harris over Donald Trump and Robert F. Kennedy. This was looks like this was a study. Let me see when this was. August of 2024, this survey was. So it said percentage of Black registered voters who say they would vote for blank if the 2024 presidential election were held today. All Black voters, Harris, lean Harris. Trump, lean Trump. All right, so 77% said that before the vote that they would vote for Harris, and 13 said they would vote for Trump. Men were 73, women were 79, Trump 16, 10. Ages 18 to 49, 68. 50 plus, 86. Trump 19.6. College degree or more, 84 Harris and Trump 7. No college degree 7, Trump 15. That's Harris and Trump. This is as of August 22, 2024. It says Black voters differ by age in their support for Harris. While 86% of Black voters 50 and older back her, a smaller share of Black voters 18 to 49, 68% say the same. All right. So as we move forward to this slide, it says that Harris struggled relative to Biden in 2020 among men, younger voters, and non-college voters who are Black and Hispanic. All right, so even though she struggled more, right, let's look at how Black men, and I guess Black women too, voted overall for Kamala Harris. All right.
That's right.
So it says 71%.
Yeah.
71% voted for her.
That's
How
right.
misogynistic can Black men be if overall she got 71% of the Black men's vote?
Yeah.
Now she got 24 went to Trump.
Yeah. But our 71% is higher than white men, higher than Hispanic men, higher than AAPI, right? But I don't hear anybody calling them misogynists. I don't hear anybody calling out the Hispanic community for misogyny or the AAPI community for misogyny, right? So again, this is a very targeted, and if you ask me, coordinated attack, once again, on Black men, because they understand the power that's in the Black community when Black men and Black women are united.
Boom. Very, very good observation there, my friend. All right, so as you could see, and as Chad was saying, I mean, it's just obvious, right? White men, 37%? Hispanic men, where's that? 49%?
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
Yeah. Where's Obama's commentary about white male misogyny?
Right. You know? I mean, and shout out to Black women, they voted 90% for her. But what has, as you were saying earlier, what has Kamala specifically done for Black people in general and Black women?
Yeah, we have to ask those questions. I mean, it's a new political reality that I don't think most of our representatives have woken up to yet, because they haven't lived through it before, right? Those of us who study history and we understand kind of how this pendulum is now swinging back towards the more agenda focused, the more politically mature, population amongst us, like community, right? And we're having these conversations and we're building up from the grassroots up. we understand what's already happened. There's no putting this genie back in the bottle. And so if you want the black vote, you have to have a serious black agenda, a freedman agenda. You have to have an agenda that speaks specifically to our interests and seeks to redress us for our afflictions, for what this country has done to us, right? And so for me, it's very simple math. And the way that I see Democrats continually spinning and not really addressing the problem just speaks to the Democratic Party and the weakness of the Democratic Party and how they have no intention, in my humble opinion, of ever doing anything tangible for Black Americans, for freedmen. And so we have to be strictly agenda focused, nonpartisan, and we have to move like a Hiram Road Rebels would move and saying what's best for Black people. It doesn't matter if it's red or blue, it's best for Black.
Yeah, I mean, look, for me, I get it with the Democrats because, you know, the Democrats pretend to be your friends. At least with the Republicans, they say straight up, this is how I feel.
Yeah, exactly. I think I might have told you this before, but give me my racism in a hood and on a horse. Like I want to see it coming from miles away, right? So I can get prepared, right? So I know the threat is imminent, and I can have an equal resistance to that threat, right? An equal and opposite force going at that threat, right? But when it comes to you and it's smiling and it's pretending to be your friend and waiting until you turn your back and putting a knife in you, that's something else, right? I'm not trying to have the enemy, you know, that close to me and smiling at me and, you know, ultimately undermining and as we saw August 31st, yep. Right, but betraying me, right, betraying the community. And so this isn't, you know, I'm not someone who does kind of a wholesale on all Democrats or all Republicans. For me, is you have people that are making these decisions. You have people that make up these caucuses, the Black Caucus here, the Legislative Black Caucus here, and the Congressional Black Caucus. You have people in these seats. Those people are elected by our people. And so for us, it's really about seizing that power, and nobody can take your power away from you. They can call you whatever name in the book they want to call you. Seize your power, use your power, and get people into these seats that are going to really stand up for our interests and not cower, you know, in the face of the power structure, the white power structure.
Absolutely, man. So speaking about Black misogyny, if people didn't see Jamie Foxx's latest stand-up on Netflix, let's read this article. Jamie Foxx continues to find himself at the center of controversy. Based on the latest updates, he is in the hot seat once again following a racist joke that he made, and many outraged fans want him canceled. What happened with this situation, and what did Foxx say? Prior to this most recent controversy, the actor had a glass thrown at his face during his 57th birthday dinner. Yeah, that was crazy. The incident was bad enough for the comedian that he needed stitches to resolve the issue. Based on the latest updates, he is contending with even more issues. As part of his Netflix special, Jamie Foxx steered things to a common topic, which was dating. More specifically, viewers took issue with him essentially throwing, quote, white women, end quote, under the bus when it comes to being on the dating market. Foxx said, "Sisters, I'm here to tell you, I've been cured. I've been cured of everything. No more white girls. I'm serious. No more white girls. No more white girls. No more white girls." That was in Jamie Foxx's stand-up. I didn't say that. Chad didn't say that. That's what Jamie Foxx said in the stand-up. One commenter said, quote, "Jamie Foxx, what a misogynistic, black, racist, unbelievable. Any white man say something like that he just said about the black women, there would be an uproar." So much as an uproar that Donald Trump got voted back into office. So what you think about that, bro?
Yeah, I actually saw that special, and first I want to shout out, I see in the chat and YouTube, Tony Ray Harvey from California Black Media. Yeah, I want to shout out Tony Ray Harvey. That's another brother out there really doing the work, the good work, the righteous work of raising awareness and bringing attention to not only what's happening here in California with reparations, but just what's happening with our community. So I just wanted to shout that brother out. Yeah, what's good, brother? Yeah, so I saw the Jamie Foxx special, and the end of that joke, he actually said, you know, no more white girls. And he took a pause. He said, in public. right? So he wasn't, so you know, the white girls can rest easy. He wasn't like swearing off y'all completely, right? So y'all rest easy. I know that was a big part of it, was seeing, you know, a black man with some power and some access saying that he wasn't going to date a white girl, right? Which, but we should really ask ourselves, why is that so controversial, right? Why is it so controversial that a black man says that he wants to choose a black woman, right? And they're now, again, it's being seen as being, you know, misogynistic to not want to be with a white woman, right? And if that's I mean, you read the definition earlier, but if that's part of the definition, maybe I do fit into that. Maybe that is part of it, right? But I don't think that's in the definition, right? And so I think, you know, you see this happening over and over again, particularly when you have high profile freedmen men like Jamie Foxx, who, you know, tend to, you know, lean over and sometimes say something that really resonates from a community perspective, right? Because he's talking to us, he's having a conversation with us. You see them get attacked with things like this. You see them get gaslit with things like this. And at the end of the day, it's a joke. It's a comedy show, right? And Jamie Foxx, it was a funny joke in real time. When I saw it, I laughed, right? And all the sisters I saw in the audience laughed, right? And it only seems to be these people that want to tear down another black man that didn't find the humor in that joke.
Absolutely, man. Well, that was pretty much, man, what I wanted to go over with you. But we're going to give some quick updates of what's going on here in California. Ain't a lot, but we're going to talk about it. But before we do that, I do want to play this clip, and then we're going to wrap it up. But let me play this clip.
Yeah, no reparation, no vote. If you don't give no reparation, you ain't getting no vote. Y'all gave the legal y'all gave a free
Oh, that gave me chills, man.
Ooh, so
yeah.
If y'all didn't see Where's Waldo, we did have Where's Chad. And if people aren't familiar with Where's Waldo, I think that's a kid's book, right? Where people say, "Where's Waldo?" You know?
Yeah, no, I remember it.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I'm a dad. You know what I mean? Like
facts.
I do remember something about being a father. So yeah, you were there, and as a matter of fact, I think we have another good brother in the house, Charlton. Shout out to Charlton. What's up, Big C Sports in the building? Good brother doing work too as well. He was right there too. He was right there, you know, talking about what was happening to, well, Chris specifically. Shout out to Chris Lodgen, CJ.
Shout out Chris Lodgen, absolutely.
Speaking to she was then the chair of the CLBC.
Lori
She's no longer the chair. Lori Wilson, yes. Speaking
still in the CLBC, no longer the chair, but that's correct, yeah.
Correct. So it's just, even in that clip when we talk about black misogyny, did you not see black men and black women
shoulder to shoulder,
shoulder together? Even Chris, when he was having that wonderful discussion with Lori Wilson, right? Still giving her respect as a woman, as a black woman, but telling her what the community needed, brother. So can you just give us, you know, your 2 cents on that, and we'll just go ahead and wrap it up from there, brother?
All right, man, you threw a hand grenade at me, right? Okay.
Boom.
So August 31st, 2024. Obviously, we caravanned up to Sacramento because we had some very important legislation that was supposed to see a floor vote that week. And this was the last day of the 31st, which was a Saturday. That was the last day of the legislative session for that vote to occur. For folks who were remembering and were there and were tuned in, we had 3 pieces of legislation. So SB 1050, right? That was the eminent domain bill. Then we had SB 1403, which was the agency bill, and SB 1331, which was the fund bill, right? And you know, SB 1050 was called, I want to say that Thursday or Wednesday. You know, we had members of the team that were there, so you know, we were looking good. SB 1050 passed with like overwhelming majority. I don't think there were any no votes. I want to say it was 72-0, right? And that was just reflective of the fact that we had done the homework, right? Senator Bradford, to his credit, and shout out Senator Bradford, the author of those bills, he had gotten his vote counts. We knew we had the votes on the floor, so it really was just a simple matter of a member of the CLBC calling the bills to the floor for the vote. A very routine sort of thing that they do all the time. You could watch, the session, you'll see them call bills all the time. So this was, and they had all previously voted or had positive remarks about these pieces of legislation, despite if it had a rocky start, et cetera. They were all lined up in support. So we went up on the 31st, with the intention, because we knew that there was some confusion, but we went up on the 31st with the full intention that we would see our bills called to the floor, because we knew we had overwhelming support in the assembly to pass those bills and move them on to the governor's desk. What we learned pretty quickly on that day, early afternoon, was that the CLBC had no intentions of calling the remaining two bills to the floor. And so then, we went into protest mode. We were already kind of in a protest mode, but then it kind of got fired up, right? And making sure that they understood that this was unacceptable. They had made commitments and promises to our community that were represented by these pieces of legislation. And they showed us that they were fully willing to break those commitments, break those promises, and throw the Black community under the bus, quite frankly. And so, we wanted to make sure that people understood what happened on August 31st. That's why you see that crowd, because we were tuned in and we wanted to make sure that we were there, hopefully to celebrate, but if not to celebrate, to make sure that we, were seen and that our voices were heard on that day and on those important pieces of legislation. So I know you want to talk about kind of where we are today. And so where we are today is we have until we're entering into a new legislative cycle. And bills are currently being introduced into this legislative cycle. You'll see some of those things, and we won't go too deep into the weeds about some of the things we've seen and how we feel about them. But to this caucus, the Legislative Black Caucus, at the end of last cycle, made a commitment to reintroduce the agency bill, and thus far they have not done that. And they have until February 21st, which is the deadline to introduce new legislation. So we have in writing the California Legislative Black Caucus, members Wilson, Bryan, a member Weber, member Gibson, Jackson, all members, McKenna, all the members who basically put in writing that they commit to bringing this agency bill back. But we have yet to see it, and we have about 5 days. This is Sunday, so about 5 full days to see that bill introduced. So, hopefully they're going to do the right thing, live up to their commitment, live up to their word, and we're certainly going to continue to apply pressure to them to, force their hand. And hopefully they find it in their hearts, they find it in their, in their history, in their lineage to do the right thing.
Absolutely.
This time around.
Absolutely. So, family, if you guys see the ticker below, 2021-25. Okay, that's the last day for bills to be introduced to the legislature. And I think for us advocates, I know there's two in particular points that we definitely want: an agency for sure, and
Absolutely.
then the fund to support that. Yeah. So, brother, before we get out of here, man, if you want, you can give people your social media or not. Once again, tell us what organizations you're with, and then we're going to wrap it up, bro.
Yeah, so again, Chad Brown. I'm with the Lineage Equity and Advancement Project. My Twitter handle is @Chad_Boogie. So you can hit me there. I'm on Twitter mostly, kind of catching the news and, raising awareness, sharing calls to action, letting you know what's happening with California reparations from, the grassroots, from the front lines of what's occurring. Because we're going to need, our community across this nation to be aware of what's happening in California. People say it all the time: as goes California, so goes the rest of the nation. And we are committed and determined to make sure that California moves in a direction of economic justice for the freedmen in this state. And that's our intent for the rest of this nation ultimately.
Absolutely, brother. So let me go through the quick comments here. Looks like our good brother Antonio in Charlton mostly have comments, but we'll just go, that's what we do.
That's good brothers. Yeah, that's good brothers.
So maybe next time we'll invite them, to the platform.
I would love that. I'd love to chop it up with those strong brothers. Absolutely. Two soldiers.
Shout out to Tony Ray Harvey of the California Black Media in the building. That brother's doing great work, man.
From the very beginning,
Great
man.
articles.
From the very beginning. Tony
Shout
Ray
out
Harvey
to
at ETM Media. There from the beginning.
Absolutely, man. Charlton and Big C Sports. What's up, brother? Charlton in the building. Yeah, I remember actually meeting Charlton at one of the California Reparations Task Force.
Yeah,
It was somewhere in Sacramento, man. So he was there. You know, I do remember him in the building. It says Chapter House receipt.
Oh
right?
man, you got no idea, Tony. You got no idea.
Political engagement, absolutely.
Yeah.
Beautiful black men and beautiful black women owning media and helping each other create a better economy. Let's talk more about our unity and create a better economy. Absolutely,
I'm here for it.
bro.
I'm here for it. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Troubleton was in the mix of that whole leading up. Yep, he was right there, man. I mean, you saw him in the background. So definitely, thank you, Antonio. Let's support CJEC and black people, especially. Yep. Great talk, gentlemen. Keep praying. 100 and working. Thank you. Shout out, bro. Big C Sports, CJ National Black Wall Street Project. Shout out. Thank you. All right. So that's it, family. So you guys have, hey man, come on, Chad. Man, me and Chad, man, and Chris and all the other gentlemen and
go back, man. We go back,
ladies.
Yeah.
Right, we go, man, bro.
We go back. That's right.
It is crazy, man, how much we've been involved in this, behind the scenes. And a lot of people don't know how much work we've actually put in, sacrificing our times, both black men and black women.
That's right.
For our repair of our community.
Yeah, and our black youth too. Let's not forget our youth too, because our youth has stepped up to the plate in a big way, right? And I love to see that, man, because that's we talk about it being the future, but the youth is right now, right? The youth that can carry this torch and turn it into a bonfire, blaze, right? I mean, I love it. But anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you, brother.
Nah, bro, I'm not gonna cut your wisdom, bro. So yeah, no, it's all good. But yeah, what I wanted to say, man, especially when it comes to the CJEC family, man, like it's one of those things, bro, where especially when you're involved with men and women, and you guys are trying to move to all in one accord. When we were there at the California Reparations Task Force.
Yeah.
And I would love to hear some of the sisters who are part of CJEC.
Absolutely.
Right. And the level of
strong sisters, yeah.
Strong black women. So I don't want to hear nothing what they got to say about black American women, dude. Don't want to hear nothing out your mouth, man. Black American women are beautiful. Yep. But just the level of protection, right? When we were there.
Oh yeah. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to our sisters too, because that's our role, right? That's our role, to make sure that we are protecting our sisters, we are protecting our children, right? And that's why black men are so dangerous, because we're so powerful, right? Because we are standing on the front lines. But you're absolutely right. Those task force meetings, wasn't nobody touching none of the CJEC sisters, none of the LEAP sisters,
nope.
None of the sisters on the panel, right? None of the allies on the panel, like we on the task force, like we was there. We were showing up, and I'm proud of my brothers. Like, shout out to all the brothers. You know who you are. You stood 10 toes down in all. Every time I went to a meeting, it was no problems. Like, brothers was gonna hold that down and make sure it was nothing crazy happening, nothing popping off, and that we, the mission was always first, right? And I appreciate and respect that, and got love for that always.
Absolutely, man. And the thing, man, before we go, and I'd just like to say one more thing, man, before we wrap it up. All right, so to be honest with you, man, like, if men of other races, right, would just be cordial and just respectful, right? Neely Fuller talked about the idea of racist white supremacy.
Yeah.
And if men and women, just on a human level, would just respect one another, right, and give us reparations, which is owed.
Yeah.
What? I mean, it's not that hard.
I
You
agree
do
with
unto
you, bro.
others as you wish to be done to yourself.
I agree. I agree with you. I don't really see other communities, men and women, being disrespected the way the freedmen men and women are, though. That's the other thing, right? So it's a very real anti-black component to all of it, anti-black racist component to all of it, right? That's rooted in all of this misogyny talk, right? So, and we talked about some of that. So, but I agree with you. I want to see us internally start turning more to each other, loving up on each other, uplifting each other. You know, black women, black man, go out there and find yourself a beautiful black queen. Black women, go out there and find yourself a beautiful black king. Understand, he might not be a king when you meet him, but that's your job to help nurture him into his greatness, right? You know, find him, dust him off a little bit, right? Make sure that make sure he stays fed, make sure he stays motivated, right? Be the wind beneath his wings. And I guarantee you, that black man will carry you and do for you, and you'll have a beautiful family, a beautiful future, and our communities will be stronger for it because we need more black families, we need more black children. You know, we need more black power.
Absolutely, all the above, man. So once again, Chad, thank you for coming. We're gonna have this conversation, and maybe get some more brothers on the show. You know what I mean?
Let's do it, man.
Have this more conversation.
You know, I love chopping it up with the brothers, man. Particularly those brothers in this movement, because we're doing this selflessly, right? Like, we're not getting paid, right? We ain't making no money off of this. We're putting our own funds into this, right? We're coming out of our own pockets into it to make this thing go. So I enjoy talking to brothers like that because they see a bigger picture, right? It's not just about themselves and do I have the latest and greatest of whatever it is. It's about how's my community doing, because, you know, at the end of the day, all you're gonna leave behind is what you were able to impact on the people immediately around you, right? They say the only thing that matters is what people say and how you made them feel, you know, after you're gone, right? That's what people remember, how you made them feel, and what do they think about when they think about you. And so I like being around brothers that want people to say, he tried to make it better, right? He tried to do something. He tried to make a change. He tried to get us paid, right? So that's the brothers I want to shop with. That's the brothers I want to spend time around. So anytime you want me, man, if I can make it happen, I'll be here.
I appreciate that, brother. So speaking of wrapping up, I'm gonna go out with Reparations Now, the documentary, featuring our good brother Chad Brown.
I'll do a little bit.
Along with our good brothers and sisters out there, and Antonio Ray Harvey.
Check it out.
Yeah, definitely check it out. It's on Tubi if you have not yet seen it. There's a little birdie saying there might be another one coming.
Okay.
Maybe.
Hey, you got more to document, brother. A lot is happening since that one, right? Ooh, a lot is happening.
A lot, bro.
Yeah.
So depending on what's gonna, transpire on the 21st, man, y'all just get ready. So there might be another one coming out, family. So we'll see.
I will say this: get ready regardless. Right, because
exactly.
Regardless of what happens on the 21st, I guarantee you what you're going to see coming out of California is more momentum and more movement in this movement. Don't think that things are lost or are done. It's not even close, right? Yep. We are bigger, we are stronger, we are more organized, and we are more prepared and more politically astute than ever before. So we're ready for this fight, and I'm looking forward to it. So I want everybody to be excited, and everybody to stay tuned in. Like, follow CJEC on the socials, hit up the website, get the newsletter, sign up for the text messages. We're gonna let you know when it's time to move, and we need everybody around the country to move, just as we have been as a collective, marching forward towards economic justice.
Absolutely. So on that note, we'll see y'all later. Take care of yourself, you and your family. We out. Peace and reparations.
Peace, fam.
The way it currently stands, forced labor, slavery takes precedence over rehabilitation and public safety.
Oh, by the way, while the Biden administration gives reparations to everyone but free people, look at the billions he has run over to Ukraine.
We don't have black grocery stores because if you think about it now, just to get in that supply chain, it's almost unheard of.
They don't want the truth to get out. Okay? I don't want to know what my family did or what all these people did and all this stuff like that. Okay? You read that 500-page report.
there's this thing called white superiority and black inferiority. That mindset allows all of the behaviors that we've seen across generations, allows for the construction of these policies and practices and systems and structures that continue to oppress us. This is not a handout. This is a debt that is owed.
You know, Allensworth was like the internet of his time in 1904, 1905.
The total black population in California is about 2.6 million, and then of that, the descendants compose about 2.2 million of that. So California, with a multi-billion-dollar surplus, can absolutely afford to satisfy the international terms for reparations, beginning with compensation.
Any financial obstacle that exists that impedes the success of increasing financial prosperity needs to be dealt with and eliminated.
No matter where we've been, no matter what part of this fight we've been in, we've been harmed, and we've had harm done to us specifically.
When I got to Los Angeles, this was some of the worst segregation I'd ever seen. And remember, I'm telling you, I'm from Mississippi.
Because as you can see, I'm giving you broken history right now, you know? But I had to give it to you guys today. I said, no, I got to show them this because it's so precious and nobody really knows about it.
Black people don't have that kind of luxury. Our historically black communities have been redistricted multiple times.
Now listen, if you can't handle the TR roof, don't tune in.